What is up, guys? So I'm recording this on my phone before we dive into the video. I want to give you guys a little preface of what this video is about. So I go over every single step of my precision inputs method, everything that I teach, everything that I do for myself, laid out in one video. So if you're going to watch this at all, watch the whole thing, take some notes on this. It's going to be very applicable and actionable advice to make a change in your life. If you're looking to get leaner, get a better physique, improve your life, and become a better version of you, this video is definitely going to help you out. So don't want to make this intro too long. I want to dive into this. So I'll see you guys inside. All right, what is going on, guys? So in this video today, I'm very, very excited to bring this to you guys. I'm going to be going over the full guide on the precision inputs method. So there's been a lot of requests to make this video, going over everything that I teach, everything that I do for myself. And this is basically what I did to lose 6% body fat while gaining 5 pounds of muscle in 6 months, all doing less effort, spending less time in the gym, spending less mental energy, mental bandwidth on the gym, and just doing things that way. And as you can see in this picture, this is May 5th, 2025. And then to be precise, 190 days later, November 11th of 2025. So same mirror, same lighting, same everything in these two pictures. So let's dive in. Do want to give you guys a little bit more context here. So in this first picture here, this is me after 4.25 years in the gym. So up until this point, I was doing a very high volume, high effort approach. I was always trying to add more things to my routine, always trying to do, more cardio, more sets in the gym, spending more time and just applying myself way, way more. But, as you can see, like I just was making very slow progress. You'll see a lot more pictures later on as well, but it was just not the way to go. Like I was always doing more and I was just so frustrated with the results that I was getting. And I knew there had to be another way. Like I knew that this was not working for me. I would see other people get more progress and I just knew something was not adding up. At this point, I was probably averaging about 2 to 2.5 hours per day of working out. So specifically, when I took this picture here, this was me like right after a half marathon training. I ran a half marathon in April, so this was in May, about like 2 weeks before this picture. I was also doing a lot of boxing lessons when I was in Colombia, so ran the half marathon in Colombia. If you don't know, that's where my family's from, so I traveled there a lot. And I was in the gym like hour to hour and a half a day, like specifically just for lifting. And on top of that, doing a ton of cardio, ton of running, boxing as well. And I was just doing so much effort, but it was just not working out for me. I was having too many changing variables, which is a big part of this in my, you could say, program that I was doing. I didn't really follow like a specific system, but I was always changing what I was doing. Like I would get frustrated with something I thought it was not working, which really everything I did at that point wasn't the best. It would make slow progress, but not what I could do and what I was capable of. I was just changing things way too much, like trying to do different exercises, doing different rep ranges, adding more sets, taking away sets, trying every diet and training system, training splits, everything that pretty much is possible to do in the gym. I have tried, like I've experimented with so many different things. And, most of them, like a lot of them can get you results, but if you always change things and you're always doing things, not following a system that's proven to work, it's just not going to work for you. You're just going to be frustrated like I was. So at this point here in May of 2025, this is when I created the precision inputs method. So kind of did this by accident. I was really, really obsessed with just learning about like the biology and what actually grows muscle and loses fat at a fundamental level. And I started applying all these things to my training, taking away less, like doing more intensity with what I do, more intention, but also doing less efforts to get more progress, which I'll show you guys the specifics of that. So the second picture here, this is me 6 months later, so 6 months of consistency with my system, actually being intentional about doing what I teach and like just having the inputs in place. And at this point, I'm probably averaging 1 to 1.25 hours per day of working out. So what I do currently, very, very easy. Like I'm in the gym for 35 to 45 minutes with my lift. And then I'm also doing cardio on top of that. And all of that just adds up to this per day on average. Like it just depends on the day and what I'm doing specifically, but doing way less in the gym. I don't have to stress myself out as much. Don't have to, spend so much energy on that. and I can get more results from that. Also, at this time, I was traveling in Colombia as well. So from August to October, I was traveling. So, traveling, you can make you can still make progress with this if you have just like a checklist and a system that you can follow. Because before, when I would travel, I would just let things control me. Like I wasn't controlling the inputs that I had. I would let my environment take over, and that's always going to lead to a bad result. So you can really apply this anywhere you are. Like if you're traveling, if you don't have like the most perfect optimized environments, you can still make this work because you're just following a few key principles, few key variables that you just input, and you get that specific output from that. And then this is by far the most progress I've made in my lifting journey. And I mean, as you can see here, I've gained muscle, I've lost fat at the same time, and I'm able to do this with less effort. And after 4.25 years in the gym, being able to make this much more progress just goes to show that it's not about doing more. It's about doing the precise inputs, like the method is called, to get the most out of it. It's really about precision, doing the controlled things, like controlling the variables of what you do. You can kind of think of it as like a science experiment where you're just controlling different variables to get the certain results and output that you want. So, who is this for? This video is going to go over a few like very actionable things that you can do. So, if you want to drop body fat, you want to get lean, and you want to build a sculpted, muscular look, then this video is for you. It's going to be very, very applicable to you. If you want to follow a proven system that maximizes effectiveness for less total efforts, like I, always wanted to do, then this is going to be for you. If you're tired of not living up to your potential, this really was me. Like I always knew I could do more. I always knew there was a way out there that could work better, and I always wanted to maximize what I could do. So if that's you, then definitely watch this video. And if you've tried common fitness advice and you still don't have the results that you want to, pretty much like I was doing before as well, this is definitely for you. And on the flip side, if you want overnight transformation, this video is not for you. Like that does not exist unless you're, blasting steroids, unless you're doing something that's outside of doing things naturally, like I always preach, then this video is not for you. It's going to take consistency. It's going to take, you actually putting in the inputs over time. And this is going to give you the best progress, but it's not going to happen overnight. Like it just does not exist. If you're satisfied with lifelong mediocre results, you have to be willing to help yourself first. You cannot, just expect something to do the work for you. And if you're just stuck with what you are now, you don't even want to change, there's no point in watching this video. If you're a quitter or can't stick with a step-by-step roadmap, a step-by-step checklist, if you have everything in front of you that you just need to do, the system that you can just follow very easily and simply, but you just quit on it, you don't actually apply yourself to it, again, you have to be able to willing to do this for yourself. So if you can't do this, this is definitely not for you. And if you're not willing to level yourself up and become a better version of yourself, then there's no point in watching this video. This is to take actionable advice and get a result from this. So this is not for you. So I used to think this actually was not possible. I was always under the mindset that you had to try harder, you had to do more in the gym to get better results. And a little bit more of a backstory here. This is me, October 30th, both years, so 2024 and 2025, 1 year to the day on these two pictures, and you can just see the difference for yourself. At this point right here, I was doing a ton of cardio. Like I was probably running the most here that I've ever have. Probably running like 30, 40 miles a week, training for 5Ks, 10Ks, like running a lot, and also in the gym, spending so much time just doing more and more. But as you can see, I lost a ton of muscle at this point. I didn't know how to properly do my cardio to get a better result, and it was just affecting me in my gym. Lost a ton of progress. And then you can see 1 year later, this is still almost following my method for 6 months. This is what I looked like at this point. So you can see the night and day difference for yourself, doing less effort here, but just doing the right things. And I feel like most guys really mess this up because they don't understand how to do the precise efforts that lead to the most effectiveness. It's just the few key variables that I'll get into that lead you to the most progress, and how fitness works together as a collective system to achieve the best results. So like everything that I'm going to go over, it all works together. It's not very individualized. Like everything is a system that comes together and it stacks on top of each other to get, almost exponential progress like I have done for myself. So if you don't know my story, I want to briefly get into this as well because I think this is pretty important to see where I came from. So I usually I've talked about this a little bit on my channel, but you know, it's a little bit hard for me to share this because I just dealt with this for so long, like internally in my mind. I grew up deformed and I also had hypothyroidism as a kid. So this is me, 14 years old. As you can see, I had a sternum deformity in my chest. So my sternum bone would stick out like this. Like it left me super self-conscious, super just like in my head about not wanting to take my shirt off. Like it's different. Like being skinny is one thing, but then having a deformity where people look at you weird, like people think you're like different, and it's a bad place to be in like mentally. And this just left me super low confidence, super self-conscious about everything that I did. I would always wear jackets even in the heat of summer to cover myself up, always like pulling my shirt like this so that you couldn't like see the sternum bone sticking out. And it was always on my mind. Like I was always thinking about what other people thought of me constantly 24/7. And then also dealing with hypothyroidism where basically your thyroid doesn't function properly. You're not producing enough thyroid hormone. So I had to take, synthetic thyroid hormone to produce enough. And this pretty much forced me from a very young age to take my health and fitness very, very seriously. Like I suffered the consequences of not having this naturally. So I always had to look for ways to do this for myself. Like I always was taking care of myself. I never really gave into like the sweet treats or like any of that stuff. Like I would always, obviously, like I'd have desserts and stuff, but I wouldn't indulge in those things because I always knew it was bad for me. I always wanted to take care of myself, and I was pretty much forced to do that because if I didn't, like I would just feel really, really bad. Like this really leaves you with like really low energy, low mood. You just don't feel good about yourself. Your mental self-image just is ruined from this, and especially with this as well, like it's just not a good place to be in. I grew up very, very self-conscious about myself. So this is me at 16 years old, very, very skinny before I even stepped into the gym. And I was just battling with low self-confidence. Also had some bad habits at a fairly young age. Like I started smoking, drinking, doing all these bad things like 15, 16 years old. And I mean, I don't do this anymore. Like I have left those habits because they just don't serve me. And I just see how bad they are for you. So I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that. And at this point, like I was not happy with where I was. I always knew I had more potential. I always knew there was something that I could do to become a better version of me. Like I always knew that something was out there. This was not the life for me of always living in this low self-confidence, low self-esteem way. Like I always knew I could do more. So I started going to the gym very consistently in February of 2021. This is when I got my first gym membership, LA Fitness. I would go every single day. Like I quickly got obsessed with making progress because in the gym, like I could physically see myself getting better, like becoming a better version of myself, like physically in the mirror. So I got really obsessed, super consistent with the gym, and it was very easy to make progress in like I'd say my first year because when you first start, it's very easy to build muscle because you're very susceptible to everything that's happening when you go to the gym. But then like I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I knew everything, and I would hit plateaus. Like after that first year, a lot of plateaus, a lot of frustration. Like this is me January 1st, 2025. This is me like almost 4 years into the gym because I started in February. So about to be 4 years right here. And as you can see, like I do not look good. Like I was always spiraling up and down, gaining a ton of body fat, trying to make progress really, really fast because I was like 30 bulking and then like super aggressively cutting. I would get very impatient because I just wanted to make progress very quick. But the mistake with that is that you're just going to sabotage, long-term progress for short-term gain. And in the long run, just it's not good. And it just leaves you frustrated and stuck with where you are, which I felt that so much in my gym progress. So like I said before, I created the Precision Inputs method in May of 2025. This is when I really started to apply everything that I do and I teach now. And as you can see, these are pictures more recently of after I started applying this. This is me in Colorado in a really high, like there's like a mountain lake, looking pretty diced, looking pretty good here. running my half marathon, performing really good. And this is me in Colombia in December, looking pretty, good in the gym. Like everything has really changed for me. And like I can truly say that the gym and fitness has changed my life like in so many different ways. Because if I were to never go to the gym, if I was still this kid here that was low self-confidence, did not feel good about myself, like I would not be the same person. And I truly want everyone to experience some change like this in their own life. Like I truly believe that the gym can change who you are at a fundamental level, even outside of your physique, makes you a more confident, stronger, more disciplined person. And that applies to every single area of your life, genuinely. So now that you know a little bit more about me, I want to get into the actual method overview. So basically the whole premise of this is we're maximizing the effectiveness that we get from the effort that we put in, which is a lot lower than most people do. So I kind of want you to think about this as these buckets here. These are like the variables in the science experiment that we're doing. And the variables that I've boiled down to is high intensity lifting, zone 2 cardio, insulin manipulation, endocrine system overdrive, micronutrient maximizing, and peak recovery. These are the 6 buckets that we're pretty much filling up. And the way I want you to think about this little analogy I can give you guys is you want to fill the bucket up just enough so that it's maximized, like the effectiveness is there, but you're not doing more efforts to overflow the bucket because you're not going to get anything from that. If you do more efforts and the bucket is overflowing, that does nothing for you and just going to leave you frustrated like I was. So the whole point of this is being precise with the inputs, being precise with what we do, and you can do less and get more from that because you're just maximizing this part of the equation, the effectiveness, which is everything. That's all that I do. So to get into this, number one, we have the high intensity lifting program. So we're maximizing training effectiveness instead of doing more effort in the gym. So I used to do, like I was mentioning before, like hour to hour 30-minute gym sessions, always trying to add more. I was always trying to do more sets to grow more. Like if I wasn't making the progress that I wanted to, I would just add more sets to either like my bench, my shoulder, like everything that I would do, like add more reps, try to do more exercises, like do more burnout sets, do like more drop sets, all these different things. And I was just doing so much, but only to see slow progress in the gym. Like so much effort really does not make you any better in the gym. Like there's a point to that. You just have to fill the bucket in. That's all you need to do. So what I do now, basically 2 sets to failure. Like you really do not need more than 2 sets. And I do want to emphasize going to failure. Like this is a high intensity program. You want to push to failure to stimulate the most growth because if you're leaving reps in reserve, if you're not pushing yourself to failure, you're not going to stimulate the growth and you're not going to get the most effectiveness for what we're doing. Also, around a 6 to 8 rep range. So this can change just based on the mind muscle connection you have. If you can't feel the muscle as effectively, then I would recommend higher reps. And then muscle anatomy exercise selection. So just choosing the best exercises, the best lifts that you do based on how the muscle fibers work in your body. And you can just reverse engineer that to pick the best things instead of just changing everything, doing things that aren't as effective. And you're just making it way better and more easy to progress on these key simple lifts. And last thing here is opposite muscle group splits. So I'm a big proponent of not doing push-pull legs. I don't think that's very, very good at all because if you're hitting chest, triceps, and shoulders on the same day, they're not going to be fresh in the same workout. So let's say you do a press, you're also fatiguing all those muscles and you can't hit them with maximum effectiveness in the same workout versus if you split them up. Like for example, I do chest, biceps, back, triceps. So those don't work together. So if I hit them in the same day, they're both going to be as fresh as possible and you can get the most stimulus and the most effectiveness from that. So now my workouts truly take 35 to 45 minutes and I'm seeing more growth from this just because it's maximizing the effectiveness and you just do not need more time in the gym. Like genuinely, this is one of the biggest changes that I've made. Next up is zone 2 cardio. So I would be really on and off with my cardio. Like sometimes I would neglect it completely and that was a big mistake because I would just gain a lot of body fats. I was not expending any energy. And then sometimes I would do too much and lose muscle. So as you saw before in that October 30th picture, I was doing so much cardio there, like running a ton. And it was just too much. Like I was overflowing the bucket and it detrimented my gym progress and I just lost a ton of muscle. So once I learned about zone 2 cardio, this is pretty much the sweet spot that you want to hit. Has so many benefits as well. So to get into these pretty briefly, I'll skim through these. Number one, you're getting a lot of caloric expenditure because you're doing cardio. You actually want to burn calories because it's going to keep you lean. It's going to allow you to also hit higher caloric deficits. You can eat more food and still be in a deficit, which is going to be always better than eating less food and expending less energy. Also, zero muscle interference. This is very chill. If you don't know what zone 2 is, it's 60 to 70% of your max heart rate. So it's very low intensity, very chill pace. And you don't want to overdo it. Again, you do not want to do too much. But if you have the precise amounts, then it's not going to affect muscle whatsoever and actually help recovery based on what I'm going to cover here as well. So zone 2 versus daily step count. This is something that I really preach because I think like you can hit your steps. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but doing zone 2 is going to make it more effective because you're getting all these benefits and it's more efficient. You're doing it faster, burning more calories in a faster, more efficient way than just going on walks that take longer time. Like I'm not saying never go on walks, but if you're just implementing zone 2 cardio, it's going to be way easier for you to burn those calories. Also, you're getting a mitochondria boost. So mitochondria increase your energy in the body. You're increasing the amount of mitochondria you have and the effectiveness that they have. So you're basically producing more energy more effectively. Fat oxidation, you're using body fats as fuel and makes you more metabolically flexible. You can tap into body fats when you need to use it. Angiogenesis makes you more vascular, so you're basically increasing the amount of blood vessels that you have in the body, allowing more oxygen to deliver to muscles. Very good benefits, and you get way more vascular from this. Neurogenesis increases, so you increase the brain cells you have, better cognition, better focus. You just feel sharper from doing cardio. Like it's genuinely a really, really underrated benefit. And then doing cardio for the mind. So think of zone 2 cardio as something that's very relaxing, very effective for your mood. Like every time I do cardio, I always feel better because it's good for the mind. Like it truly helps you with your mindset and your mood just elevates. Everything is so good about this. And I do think this is the greatest tool that keeps you lean and again allows you to hit those high caloric deficits. You always want to have energy as high as possible, but you can still be in a deficit so that you're not tired. You're not going to feel low energy because you have all this energy from those calories coming in, but you can still expend enough to get that progress as well. So next up is insulin manipulation. So I used to be very, very ignorant of how insulin helps, muscle growth and fat burn. I think a lot of people don't know this, and it's one of the main drivers of muscle growth and fat loss. If you don't understand this, you truly cannot make progress at a fundamental level. So, my ignorance from this, it left me with frustrated, slow, spiraling progress. Like I was always up and down, like I said, like it was just not good. And I didn't know how to control my insulin, do it at the right time because the timing here is everything. If you don't know what insulin is, think of this as pretty much the key that unlocks the cells to absorb nutrients. So it can either go to fat cells or muscle cells. So you obviously want to bias it for muscle growth and avoid fat storage. So that's why timing is so important here. So basically what I do now, I maximize my insulin sensitivity, basically allowing me to lose more body fat and have more muscle mass. Having high versus low insulin periods. So you want to spike insulin at the right times around your training. And outside of that, having low insulin so you can burn fat, use fat as fuel. And then the insulin, when it is high, it's shuttling all nutrients to muscles when they're most susceptible, most sensitive to the insulin coming in. GLUT4 translocation, this is basically what allows glucose to enter muscle cells. So when you lift, you're most susceptible to carbs coming in. So you want to have the majority of your carbohydrates post-workout because they can actually be absorbed the best by muscles just based on GLUT4. It's very, very simple. mTOR amplification. So insulin actually amplifies mTOR, which is the muscle building switch that comes from eating protein, especially leucine. So if you're having insulin with protein post-workout, you're just amplifying this to the maximum effect you have. Nutrient partitioning goes into insulin sensitivity, just biasing more nutrients to muscle growth instead of fat storage. And then timing your macronutrients correctly. So you want to time your carbs around your workouts, leave your fats outside of the workout window. So leave that for when you're not lifting or not going to work out. You also do not want to mix high carb and high fat meals. That's a really, really bad mix because of the Randle cycle, and it just interferes with all the nutrients coming in. You just want to bias everything to muscle growth when you need it to, and then outside of that, you let fat burn on its own. And this is basically the underlying principle of what allows simultaneous muscle growth and fat loss. If you can control your insulin and time it at the right times, you can spike muscle growth when you want it to and when you're most susceptible, still be in a calorie deficit and allow yourself to be low insulin enough to burn fats and get the best results from this. So next up is the endocrine system overdrive. We're optimizing the key players of what actually makes our hormones actually work. If you don't know what the endocrine system is, basically the system that creates hormones in your body, which leads to so many different things that you can benefit from. So like I mentioned earlier before, I did have a lot of bad habits that held me back, drinking, smoking. I cut all of that out. It just does not serve me whatsoever. Like I would just feel just like unfulfilled. It would not, move me forward in what I wanted to do. And I was always low energy from this. Like I just never felt good after, a night out, going drinking, smoking, whatever I was doing. It would always take away from me. So I just cut this out. And I always wanted to perform and feel my best. Like as you can see in this picture, I look terrible. Like to say the least, I look not good at all. And you can just tell this guy does not have, good testosterone in place, good hormones in check. Like everything was not working for me in this point. Like right here, I was working probably 10 to 12 hours a day, like working in sales, and I was still going to the gym. Like I've always been consistent, but I just did not have the system in place and just optimizing like the key things that really move the needle forward. And then, I mean, this guy right here, like this is me after applying the method, like everything is in check here. Like what I do now, testosterone biohacks, basically increasing testosterone with how it works in your biology, increasing growth hormone to maximize recovery, maximize growth, increasing insulin like growth factor 1. This is basically the main driver of muscle growth, timing cortisol correctly. So I'll get into this in the recovery part. So you actually want to time this. A lot of people think it's bad, but you actually want to have this at the right times. And then thyroid stability. So like I mentioned before, like I've suffered with hypothyroidism, and I know how important it is for just your overall mood, your energy, like everything really, really, really is important on your thyroid. So having this in check, I know from firsthand how much this affects you. And all of these work to increase your energy, vitality, muscle growth, and fat loss. Like all of these things play such a key part because I genuinely used to be like a pretty low energy, low vitality person. I would not get the most benefits from my training, would not experience the best muscle growth and the fat loss that I could, due to the whole system not being in place. Next up is the micronutrient maximizing. So basically you want to think of this as the building blocks of life. So I used to only think of, eating like high calorie if I was trying to gain weight and gain muscle, and then like eating low calorie to lose body fats, and then just hitting high protein foods. That was really all that crossed my mind in terms of diets and having that in place. But like it is important, you do want to focus on protein and calories. But if you're just focusing on these two, it's gonna leave you stuck and frustrated. Like there's so much more to nutrition and diet that's it's like the fundamental of your whole body and like how you function as a human body. So focusing on nutrient dense foods, as you can see, these are some of the things you want to include, like red meat, eggs. These are the staples, super packed in micronutrients. Avocado, there's sweet potato, include some Greek yogurt, honey, fruits, some fish as well, some seafood. You could do white rice, not very micronutrient dense, but it's a very good carb source for training. But just having those ingredients and foods in place, like focusing on the whole foods. I'm not saying you can't ever have like a cheat meal or like go out to eat. Like I do that myself. Like I'm not saying you have to 100% adhere to this, but consistently you want to focus on those whole foods that actually provide your body with the raw materials that they need. So like this mindset right here of thinking of food as a raw material for your body to use is very important. Like you don't want to just eat for pleasure and eat for comfort, which I still love what I eat. Like I love these meals that I eat now, but it's different than just focusing on that. I'm focusing on the actual building blocks, like the nutrients that I have in place, and I can also enjoy this. I would argue even more than just eating, you know, processed foods consistently over time. So it's just going to be a lot better for you to just perform way better. And the micronutrients and the nutrition that you have in place is truly the foundation of having high energy and high vitality in your life. Like truly, like I said, like I was a very low energy person. Like I did not have like a good mood, due to many reasons, but like a big part of it was diet and just not understanding the importance of everything that's under the surface of just like macros and calories. If you optimize this, you're just gonna feel so much better about yourself. And then we have the peaks recovery and peak sleep. So like for me, sleep was never a priority. I always knew the importance in principle. Like I knew it was important to get good sleep. Like I think everyone knows that, but in practice, I was not applying everything that I know now. So I was always under recovered, always trying to do more and like fatiguing myself so much with my training. And I was not recovering at all. Like you only grow in recovery. You're only going to make progress from what you can recover from. And the low effort approach is going to minimize fatigue. Like it says here, minimize fatigue. And we're maximizing our recovery. So we're just making so much more progress because we can actually get the most potent recovery from what we're doing. And basically how you want to apply this, like you just want to follow a good circadian rhythm. Like I was mentioning earlier with cortisol. So cortisol and melatonin are, you can think of them as opposites in the body. So when cortisol is high, melatonin is going to be low. And then when melatonin rises, or when cortisol goes down is when melatonin can actually rise and make you fall asleep. So this is the circadian rhythm pretty simply. Basically, you want to spike cortisol in the morning. You want to feel alert and awake in the morning with your cortisol high. And throughout the day, it's going to lower and drop. And then melatonin can come in. And you can get a good circadian rhythm and be very consistent with this. So very important thing to do is having set and consistent like wake up times and times that you go to sleep. It's going to be so important for you to get the most progress from this. Like as you can see here, this is the recovery that I get now. I get 100 sleep scores, 99, 99. Like these are the best things that I've ever done. These come very recently, just based on me applying what I do now. Like just focusing on consistency, focusing on the circadian rhythm. It allows you to get the best sleep possible, and sleep is the most important for that recovery that you have. Also, intuitive rest and including some saunas on your rest days. So I like to do sauna on rest days. Do this about 1 to 2 times a week. And then having intuitive rest. So just listening to your body. If you genuinely need to take some time off, like a day or two off the gym, then that's completely fine. It's actually going to make you more progress because you can recover way more. I think a lot of people overlook recovery. They're trying to do more in the gym like I was before, but they're not focusing on what actually grows the muscle and grows you into more progress, which is actually the recovery side. If you can maximize this, then you're going to make so much more progress. And now, like, based on what I do now, my fatigue is super low and my low energy is minimized. Like, everyone's going to have those days where you don't feel the best, like the most energized, but you can minimize this so much just by doing this and implementing these steps right here. So, little summary here, like this system is meant to maximize effectiveness, always maximizing the output that we get out and minimizing the total effort that we put in. I truly believe that fitness should always improve your quality of life. Like I used to be stuck thinking like doing more was the only answer. Like I was always adding more, but it left me truly just frustrated. Like I wanted to make more progress that I was doing for years, genuinely years. And now I teach what I do now. Like I can spend less time and effort in the gym and follow a system that ensures that I put my effort in the most productive way. Like 100% perfection is not the goal. I don't think anyone that exists is 100% perfect in their gym progress and like the system that they teach. And you don't have to be. That's the good thing about this. You can do less and still get way more out of it. Like I eat out. I like to, take rest days. I'm not going to force myself to go to the gym if I don't need to. And if I can take recovery, then that's going to be more optimal for me. And it's just following all these different buckets, all the different principles that I teach here. We're just filling these enough, just precisely to get the most output from this. So now that you understand the system, I do have an offer for you guys. So if you are looking to make a transformation, if you're tired of not looking and feeling your best with your shirt off, and you're not wanting to waste more time and effort in the gym, and you're willing to make a positive change in your life, and you are ready to become a leaner, stronger, healthier, and more attractive version of yourself, the way I was able to do for myself, I'm going to leave a link in the description to book a call with me one-on-one. If you want to fast track this process for yourself, basically get the same results that I was able to do and implement my system that I teach, book a call with me in the description. We'll see if it's a good fit to join the program. I mean, worst case scenario, you can still get, like, I'll point you in the right direction and give you some advice. But if you are interested in working with me to implement all this system, all the steps that I teach, give you the step-by-step roadmap to get you to where you want to be, then book a call with me in the description. If you do, I'll see you on that call. But I hope you guys got a lot out of this video. It took a long time to make, and it's basically what I teach in my system, what I apply to myself, apply to the guys that I work with. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll be talking to you if you schedule your call, and we'll be chatting soon.